Hello, listen up because IndyCar is back with 5 races in the next 4 weeks. What's the story? Well, some might say this is Alex Palou's title to lose as he enters July standing on the shoulder of giants. But little by little, Kyle Kirkwood has announced himself as the rock and roll star most likely to roll with it in 2025. Can he do it? Definitely. Maybe. For McLaren, Meyer Shank and AJ Foyt Racing, it's getting better, man, as a run of podiums sees them primed for the second half of the year. But where did it all go wrong for Penske? The message now simple. Stop crying your heart out. Don't look back in anger. There we were. Now here we are. And for every team and driver, it's time to put your money where your mouth is and bring it on down to Mid-Ohio. Marcus Ericsson running the Fox Sports livery this weekend. Louis Foster at the front of the field there, about to take everybody out, of course, on pole position last time, guys. Tricky time for him, though, at Road America. It is great to be back out on track. Great to be here in Mid-Ohio. Explain to us a little bit about this circuit, because it is so challenging and so relentless.
It really is. I mean, it's a 2.25 mile, 13-turn, natural terrain road course built some time ago and hasn't really changed much since. Very physical, great flow to it, a lot of elevation change, blind corners, fast corners, slow corners. But Townsend, the thing that makes it so tough is there's almost no straight to really catch your breath and have a rest.
That's going to be the issue on Sunday for the drivers. Is different than Road America, which was also a very hot race, is just lack of straight line top speed to create airflow in the cockpit, cool yourself off and give yourself a chance to relax. But Will, what I love about driving here is elevation change. You see it right here. The car rises and falls 5 or 6 different times over the course of a lap. And it makes it a challenge from a setup standpoint, different than, say, a place like Thermal or one of the street races where we're basically at the same elevation the whole time. At Mid-Ohio, because of the elevation changes, the car is heaving and squatting several different times. It's an additional vector to consider. Normally you've got roll, you've got pitch, and you've got yaw. Here you have lots of heave as well.
One of these cars.
Spin for Jacob Abel.
Out of turn maybe at the exit turn 1, where the exit curb can be pretty tricky if you get up on top of it. Looks okay at the apex here, and yeah, he's wide at the exit, cases it, and whoa, lucky James not to hook hard left into the Armco. That's an old school steel Armco barrier, driver's left. Did a good job to get off the brake pedal, I think, here.
Yeah, I've never seen one quite like that, T-Bell. And then yeah, he just dropped that right rear, or left rear rather, into the grass and spun him around the other direction. Stopped on track now, but the hybrid system should be able, should allow him to fire it up. So it looks like he's struggling right now.
Christian Rasmussen just jumped up ahead of the rookies into 14th place. He's going to take a 6th place penalty on the grid this weekend because he's had to change his engine outside of the allotted designation that the drivers are allowed for a season. Bizarrely, because of a crash that he had during the test at Iowa in the week. This is David Malukas just getting a couple of wheels off, not quite as pronounced as Jacob Abel. And the damage that Rasmussen had to his engine there means he's had to plug a new one into the back of his car. Likely he would have got a penalty at some point this season, given how far through his engine allocation he'd gone, but it will be this weekend that has a 6th place penalty.
When he had a win in his bag was just crazy, and we'll take a look back. It was Nolan Siegel who got sideways there in turn 13 and got off into the beach aggressively.
We talk about the Indy 500, talking to the guys at the team and Josef himself. They felt they were on for the win at the 500, tracking their progress, given how brilliantly they really played it that day. Without that mechanical failure, they felt they were on for the victory, and what a win that would have been. Could have really kick-started their season. On board with Siegel here. There's the snap.
It snapped so aggressively, I think you saw his right hand almost come off the wheel, which is why he kind of sort of just drove right off the track. Driver's right, wasn't able to keep the corner going and finish it off.
Scott McLaughlin running the Odyssey battery livery this weekend. A little bit of fluid just coming out the back of his car. Very reminiscent of a Will Power livery, that. It's cracking classic Penske.
I think those were rocks coming out of the back of Scott McLaughlin's car. And we take a look at turn 4, which has been newly profiled for this year.
Yes, Townsend. Excellent, my friend. Well done. Well done.
profiled and repaved, and you can see he just got a little bit high off the line, and the grip on a new bit of pavement is not going to be anywhere near as high as what we see online. Let's just listen on board here. As you can see, there was a little bump on that transition from the old pavement to the new, and it kind of just upset the back of the car a little bit late turning in, and that's the result. But this is something these drivers are going to have to figure out, because guys, going side by side in turn 4 used to be a pretty normal thing. Grip level on the outside usually pretty good, but if this new repave is taking some of that grip away on the high line, it could be worse.
Oh, and Malukas
contact
is off, and there is contact to the rear of the car on the attenuator. Red flag is out here at Mid-Ohio, down at turn 9. For this guy, David Malukas, rear wing damaged, attenuator damaged. Guys, going to get a look at a replay here of Malukas. Goodness, and he's already backwards.
Happened early. That's a pretty significant rear end impact over in turn 9. It's a very tricky brake zone because you kind of come up over the hill, down, car loads up, you're laterally loaded as well. And for David Malukas, it's been a kind of a tough mid-stretch of the season here. If you think back to the contact that took out Alex Palou at Detroit, and then at Road America in the second corner of the first lap, threw it off the racetrack. And this is not what AJ Foyt Racing needs right now. They've had tremendous momentum in the midpoint of the season in terms of pace, but for David Malukas, he's got to turn that pace into some results here. It's an important time for his career, because let's face it, so much talk about a potential Team Penske opportunity on the table, maybe already signed, we don't know, but doesn't matter what's on paper, James, you got to get it done on the racetrack. This is a tough blow early on.
You could say Road America,
another off, and that is for Colton Herta.
Also at turn 1, guys, I think another big moment there, going off through the dirt.
And runoff at the exit of turn 1 at Mid-Ohio is very unforgiving when you go that far off track. It can take, it can really take a toll on your body and your race car with how rough it is. As we'll get a better look here. Wow. Watch how far and wide Colton goes.
Oh, good save. Good save, but you guys, you can see it's not a smooth run through the grass there.
Not exactly putting green smooth. Man, Colton missed that by a country mile.
Yeah, I wonder if on entry maybe he had a big moment. Yeah, exactly, and had to overcorrect. Let's listen.
Might be a big snap here.
Oh yeah. Got loose, chased it. It was more of a slow, lazy one. Look at him, wheel ripping out of his hands. Got all the way there, but you can see grass, dirt, all sorts on the front wing.
More of a lawnmower in the end. Pato O'Ward off and in the grass.
I think that is out of turn 4.
Circuit is really testing everyone today. That's final corner.
12, yeah.
And that right-hander is tough. Turn 12. It is so tight. The line you have to take is, it's not what you'd expect the line to be through 12. It's really, really tight, and the rear just lets go on him.
And it's a link of multiple corners, so it's not just turn 12. You've got a super fast turn 11 that if things go wrong in 11, it just compounds and leads you all the way into 12, and in this case, the exit of 12. So it wouldn't surprise me if there was an issue earlier on. Let's take a look at the onboard, see what happened.
And the challenge here is this brake zone is so downhill. And you can see, I mean, he just kind of got a little bit wide. I've seen drivers get away with much worse there, to be honest. But one of the trickiest brake zones, just because it is so downhill, and then you start doing that combined. So good job from Pato to get the lock in it off the brake and roll it off the racetrack out of harm's way. As we see a yellow flag, a red flag being run. Oh, it's Colton Herta again.
Herta again. And that is down on the exit of 6. Manages to get it in reverse. The rear wing absolutely askew. Be interesting to see what happened there, but red flag out here at Mid-Ohio. We're back at Mid-Ohio. Red flag as this guy, Colton Herta, just went backwards into the barriers down at turn 6. James Townsend, take us through what happened to him.
Just overcooks it, just fires it in aggressively. We had just seen what happened to Colton Herta in turn 1, and Funny that Josef Newgarden just ahead. We had talked about temperament and frustration from Newgarden. I know it's early in the weekend, but this looks like a frustrated Colton Herta pushing, frankly, way too hard right now.
Let's see, over the crest in turn 5, you have to do this really big change of direction over, and the whole weight of the car, it has this pendulum effect. As you come exit of turn 5, your driver's right, you're trying to get it as quickly as you can back over to driver's left, you're hitting the brakes, you're then turning right. You can get the weight, the rear of the race car to really just kind of tip over and slip them into a bit of a spin. It looks very similar to what we saw out of Pato O'Ward, and we saw, well, Jacob Abel's was a bit different, but it's interesting seeing Scott McLaughlin, kind of the same thing in turn 4.
Maybe Malukas, we didn't really see what led to that,
right,
but could have been something like that in terms of rear stability.
Just seems like the driver's really struggling with the back of the race cars right now. And you see the practice time coming down to 0. That's for the all-skate portion of practice. We will now have 2 10-minute sessions with the groups split. So half the field for each group to give a little bit more track space on course, so drivers can maybe get a chance to try those Firestone alternates, the red sidewall tire. You know, this is one of those racetracks where you really can get into a good rhythm. You hope that the tires last more than a lap. 2 would be great, 3 would be phenomenal, because you can always find a little bit more as a driver. When you get another crack at it, you can get into that rhythm, find those little bits in some of these fast corners. And as Palou crosses the line, he does find a couple tenths of a second, picks up 2 tenths to close the gap to Kirkwood down to 2 tenths. So this is showing that these things are good for maybe more than 1 lap.
I love watching Palou push here on new tires, because it is such a celebration of discipline. You just don't see a big dramatic snap. He's not overdriving the car. Soft hands, soft fingertips, very measured inputs. He's driving what the car gives him, but not more than that, not demanding more than that, not forcing more than that. And not only does that deliver good, smooth, consistent laps, it takes care of the tires. And we've talked a lot this week about what makes Palou so good. Palou wins races well before the last few laps. It's never a last lap pass. It's never some big dramatic moment. It's quietly in areas that are almost too hard to see in terms of how he looks after the race car late in the stints.
Over the line, does he improve?
Nope.
No.
106.3. So 3 tenths slower that lap.
Hey, you talked about Connor Daly, and he's just jumped up to the top of the time charts right now. Not showing to be on the soft tires right now. As you see Dixon just hustling that thing into the keyhole. It's so easy to lose the back end entry. Or on exit, apparently.
Wow. Dixon pushing. He's all arms and elbows through there. Very nearly losing it on exit on the run down now to turn 4. Oh, God, that does not look nice.
No, it's not the kind of confidence-inspiring balance that you're looking for when you're really trying to hustle it here at Mid-Ohio. But he's still, you know, he's still doing this on the primaries. Those are worn tires.
Looking snappy loose at the exit of the keyhole with some help from the exit curb.
You see the curb's just a bit dirty as well from drivers going off. So as soon as he got onto that red part, that secondary part of the curb, just no grip out there.
Oh, and Rosenqvist is off in the Aussie's Boneyard car.
See, he was rolling and then kind of came to a stop on his own. I don't see any damage. Oh yeah, just pulling off.
Yeah. You notice the front left was locking a little bit. I don't know if that was just off the ground or...
Yeah, it's just in the grass there.
Yeah. Let's listen to see if there's anything powertrain.
Is the display gone?
It has.
Something went
Looks like a
went awry.
Track as we go on board now with Colton Herta, who is the fastest driver so far in this session. 1 minute 6.3 from Lundgaard and Newgarden.
Yeah, it feels like a bit of a prep lap here for Colton, but now as he comes out of turn 9, this next right-hander, this is where you really need to be on the gas. The all-start finish line right here at that white line. So now flying on a push lap. I always loved turn 11. Such a challenging corner. Same with 12. Honestly, same with every corner of this racetrack. This is a tough little place.
Let's say great job by Andretti to get the car fixed and back out on track. Last time we saw him, he'd gone in rearwards into the barriers. So Herta back out and pressing on down into turn 2. This long uphill, then downhill right-hander, which tightens on exit before the long blast down through the wide open 3 and into turn 4.
Chasing his teammates' time from that first group, a 105.8. Colton sitting at the top of this group so far to 106.3, so still a half second to find. Oh, goes way wide in 4,
wow.
Backs out of it.
So 180 miles an hour before jumping on the brakes there. That's the best top speed that I've seen so far. And
we sit on board with Will Power, who I'm just seeing now. It was it? It was Will Power who went off just ahead of Graham Rahal.
Exact same spot. We just saw the issue from Colton Herta, where we saw McLaughlin go off earlier. So this new paved, that's just this corner right here is the only new bit of pavement for this year.
And as you were saying, there's that bump as you go into it, right in the braking zone.
watch this piece of driving. This is an incredible save to not lose control.
Just one-handing it. That was some rally driving stuff right there.
It's a guy who's been sideways in his off days. Somewhere, somehow.
We'll join them in a minute. It's an American on top on the 4th of July. Carl Kirkwood in the Honda 1:05.827. From O'Ward and Palou, Newgarden up there in the top 4, then Ericsson, Kiffin, Simpson showing well after a brilliant recent run of form, then Herta and Rahal, Lundgaard and Armstrong complete the top 10.